Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Golden Jagleen. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is super exciting for me. It's a review on the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. I am so excited that I'm finally holding this in my hands. While I do have to say Too Faced is being really annoying with the amount of things that they've been coming out with recently, like, this is their third palette that they've come out with within the past couple of months. First was the Clover palette, next was the white chocolate bar, and now we have the chocolate gold. So while that is very overwhelming, I do have to say that it's also very exciting. This has got to be the palette that I was excited about the most, and we're just gonna get right into the review. So first, packaging wise, this is beautiful packaging. I'm so sorry if this is blinding you, but as you can see, it's like a chocolate bar and it has drips of gold on it. It does get dirty pretty easy, but it doesn't really matter. And this box is bigger than the other chocolate bar boxes. Here I have the white chocolate bar box, for example. You can't really tell when I have them like this. It is just slightly bigger. Here I have the original chocolate bar, and this is in the newer packaging because I know that the old packaging was very thick and bulky, but this one is the newer thin packaging. So right here the packaging is pretty similar in size, but when you compare it to the side with gold on it, the packaging is slightly bigger in size, and that is because I haven't even shown you the actual palette. This is what the actual palette looks like. It looks like the original chocolate bar, but with this gold on here. And the drips are not flat, they're like 3D, obviously. And that's what makes this palette bigger. So the original chocolate bar is metal and it has magnetic closing. This chocolate gold palette is plastic. You can tell that it's plastic. Honestly, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But I do like how this closes now. It actually closes right here. It is no longer a magnetic packaging, which is really convenient. Every time I travel, I have to tape these palettes up because I just get scared that they will open up while I'm traveling. I think the packaging is beautiful. The only thing is this gold part does get very dirty, but I mean, whatever. You can see that fingerprints get all over it. It's not that big of a deal. This palette does cost $49, just like all the other Too Faced palettes. And the mirror in here is different. The original Too Faced palettes all have the most annoying mirror. I'm pretty sure it is a full-size mirror, but it's just covered with this cardboard on here. And that is in every single palette. This is the semi-sweet chocolate bar. This is the chocolate bonbons. Sweet peach palette. The Clover palette. This one I do have to say is nicer because it has more room. It still has this cardboard thing on it. I think it's cute. And finally, the white chocolate bar is just like all the other ones with this annoying piece of paper. I mean, it's cute, but I always feel like this isn't enough mirror space. And as I mentioned, the new palette has a full-sized mirror and it says Too Faced right here. As for the scent, I do notice that the chocolate scent is a lot more strong, but like in a good way. I feel like most of the other chocolate ones, like especially my chocolate bonbons palette, you can't really smell the chocolate. So it does smell more like chocolate. If you don't like scented products, you probably will hate this. This is what the inside of the palette looks like. So this has that classic Too Faced packaging with the pans, where two of the pans are bigger than the rest. Almost all of them have that same packaging except for the Clover palette and the Sweet Peach palette. Instead of having two bigger pans, they just made all the pans the same size. All the other chocolate palettes have that same packaging with the exception of the chocolate bonbons. This still has two bigger pans. Instead of rectangles or squares, these are in hearts. All of the shades in this palette are beautiful. There's only 4 mattes and the rest are shimmery. There are 12 non-matte shades in this, so there are 16 total colors in this palette. Now I'm gonna compare some of the shades in this palette to the colors in the other palettes. So this part is gonna take a while. First we have Money Bags. Immediately when I saw this green, it reminded me of some of the other greens that are in the other palettes. For example, in the original chocolate bar, we have Gilded Ganache, which looks like a green, but it's actually just a brown with green and gold glitter. Then we have Bless Her Heart from the peach palette, and that one is more of a khaki green, I have to say. It is a shimmery green, but it's not like the green that's in this palette. Next, from the Clover palette, we have Lucky Clover. It's matte, but I feel like this green is more in between a chartreuse and a steam foam green. And finally, Mint Chocolate is more of a pastel sage green, and that's from the white chocolate bar. We have Chocolate Gold, which is a true yellow gold. The color Creme Brulee from the original chocolate bar is a lot more like jewelry gold, not so much like eyeshadow gold, if you know what I mean. I feel like when people imagine a gold eyeshadow, they imagine that very yellow gold. Creme Brulee just reminds me of like gold jewelry. And Caramel from the semi-sweet chocolate bar is more of an orangey gold. The next color is Rich Girl, and it's a silver, and it has more of a purple undertone. I'm going to talk about that later just because there's another silver shade in this palette. Next we have Cocoa Truffle, and this is kind of a, I don't even know how to describe this brown, but it's a warm brown. Milk Chocolate from the Too Faced original chocolate bar is a little bit more of a classic warm brown. It's a lot lighter. Then Peanut Butter from the semi-sweet chocolate bar is a lot lighter and it's a lot more orange. Truffled from that same palette isn't as warm as Cocoa Truffle, but they are kind of similar. Now Bordeaux from the Chocolate Bonbons palette is a lot darker and it's red, so they don't look too similar. Summer Yum from the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette is a lot more orange, and from that same palette, Charmed, I'm sure, is more cool toned. Now from the Clover palette, Cuddle Buddy is a brown, but it has a little bit more purple to it. And Chocolate Syrup from the Too Faced white chocolate bar is a mauve brown. So next we have Decadent, and that is the black in this palette. And this black compared to Licorice and the semi-sweet chocolate bar, honestly they are exactly the same. And in comparison to Black Sugar from the white chocolate bar, Black Sugar just has glitter. That's the only difference. So next we have Love and Cocoa, and the only color I feel like I can compare to it is Hazelnut from the original chocolate bar, and the only difference is that it has a lot more copper to it. I honestly have nothing to compare Old Money to because I feel like this color is very unique and different from the other colors in these palettes. Next we have New Money, and compared to Totally Fetch from the Bonbons palette, Totally Fetch does not have as much shimmer. I mean, honestly, Totally Fetch is more of a satin shade. And compared to Too Faced Mascot from the Clover palette, Too Faced Mascot is a lot more blue purple and New Money has a lot more pink to it. Next we have Famous, and I feel like this is in between a copper and a gold. It kind of reminds me of the Kathleen Lights ColourPop Super Shock Shadow, but I don't really have any other shades to compare it to. Classy and Sassy, it kind of reminds me of Molasses Chip from the Chocolate Bonbons palette, but they are not the same whatsoever. Classy and Sassy has a little bit more rose gold to it. So Bougie reminds me of Nougat from the semi-sweet chocolate bar and Georgia from the Sweet Peach palette. So Bougie is a little bit darker and Nougat has a lot more pink to it while Georgia is peachy. Holla for a Dollar is exactly what I wanted Gilded Ganache to look like. It is a very beautiful deep green. It's not like a true green or anything, but it's like a green with black and brown. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's a beautiful color. Next we have Gold Dipped, and I just compared it in swatches with Marzipan from the original chocolate bar and Exotica Indulge and Sugared Raisin from the white chocolate bar and Molasses Chip from the Bonbons palette. Livin' Lavish is a beautiful deep purple. I just compared it to Black Forest Truffle and Candied Violet from the original chocolate bar and Peach Pit and Delectable from the Sweet Peach palette. These purples in the other palettes are so bad, but I feel like Too Faced really stepped it up with this Livin' Lavish color because it's a beautiful purple. Last, I just have Drippin' Diamonds, and I'm going to compare it to Rich Girl. Drippin' Diamonds is a lot more blue. It looks like a blue silver, and Rich Girl looks more like a purpley silver or a pink silver. And Rollin' Dough honestly looks like every other cream highlight shade that Too Faced has. So those are all the shade comparisons. Now I'm gonna transition into the demo. I did this really pretty green and gold look. The green and the gold in this palette just really stood out to me, so those are the two colors that I use. Of course I use some other colors, but Moneybags and Chocolate Gold are the stars of the show. If you'd like to see how I got this look, just keep on watching. Okay guys, so that was the tutorial, and lastly I just want to say that I think this palette is totally worth getting. I have every single one of these styled palettes that Too Faced has, and I do have to say that this is the best in quality and pigmentation. Every single shade in this palette is pigmented. Some of the other palettes that I have, the quality sucks. The purples and some of the greens, they're just not good. The colors in this palette are just more vibrant than some of the colors in the other palettes that I have. I know I say this in like every review that I do for Too Faced, but honestly this is 100% true. This has to be my favorite palette made by Too Faced because the quality is just amazing. This palette is so good. I was so worried that it was gonna suck. I was also worried that some of these were just gonna be very stiff and not pigmented or buttery at all, but that is not the case. Every single shade in this palette is amazing. I do love the palette. This is a very good palette and I do recommend it. That's it for this review and demo using the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!